terrace of the Splendido Hotel in Portofino on the Italian Riviera is one of the most idyllic spots in the world. You sit on the top of hills that cascade down to a small Mediterranean fishing village whose harbor is filled with beautiful yachts. You must make sure that at least once in your lifetime you have lunch on the terrace of the Splendido. 20 years ago I did, and I can still remember the wonderful pizza-like bread that the Italians called focaccia. The Splendido served it with an unctuous goat cheese spread, and for 20 years, I've treasured that memory. Recently, a baker brought in a new product. I took one bite, and I knew that I had finally found the Splendido's pizza bread. Over the years, we've developed hundreds of President's Choice products, but I don't think we've ever created a product that so many people have got so excited about as the Splendido. Why? Well, certainly because it tastes great, it's also convenient, and it can be used in so many ways. In addition to its obvious use as a pizza base, you can toast it, use it with various dips, and it's perfect with cheese fondue. And most of all, it answers that terrifying question you ask yourself every day around 4:30 in the afternoon: what in heaven's name are we going to have for dinner? Here's how some of the top chefs in Toronto use the Splendido to answer that question. If you're visiting Toronto and want to take someone a hostess gift, then I recommend that you make it a dessert from Deflet's Pastries. Deflet Rosenberg, her real name is Arlene, but her family nicknamed her Deflet because she looks so much like her brother Duff, is Toronto's most cherished dessert maker. Among the locals and many, many restaurants who serve her inspired creations, the name Deflet is synonymous with exquisite desserts. And just for you, she's devised a very clever recipe for the Splendido that, in my opinion, would make the perfect holiday breakfast.
Hi, I'm Deflet from Deflet Pastries, and I'm here to make an Italian breakfast bread with Splendido's plain bread. First, I'm going to mix my ricotta mixture, and I'm going to measure 1 cup of whole milk ricotta. Add a 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 egg yolk, save the white for another time, and a teaspoon of lemon rind, grated. Mix that together until it's very well blended, and then spread inside the shell. Now I'm going to cover the Splendido and the ricotta cheese mixture with some nectarines. And I've cut some up already, and I'm going to spread those around to cover in a pinwheel fashion, just to cover the entire surface. Now I'm going to cover the surface with some blueberries, about 1 cup of fresh blueberries. Just sprinkle these on randomly to cover the surface. Dot with some butter, about 1 tablespoon. Unsalted butter. And sprinkle the top with granulated sugar to cover as well. This is the finished Splendido. I baked this for about 15 minutes in a 425-degree oven until all the fruit was bubbling. And you can bake this a little bit longer if you like your fruit cooked a little bit more. I take it out from the oven and let it cool down for about 10 minutes and have a wonderful breakfast.
There's no connection with Splendido and a Toronto restaurant by the same name. It was mere coincidence that the city's newest hotspot, the Splendido Bar and Grill, opened about the same time we launched our President's Choice Splendido Italian-style flatbread. The Splendido Bar and Grill is a wonder to behold. It's full of colorful paintings, has a genuine wood-burning oven, and an open kitchen presided over by Chef Arpi Magyar. Hungarian-born Arpi makes a mushroom pizza that I think is just fantastic, and he's graciously agreed to share his recipe with us. One last thing, if you're coming to Toronto, remember, the Splendido Bar and Grill tends to be booked up to 2 weeks ahead, so phone early.
Hi, my name is Arpi Magyar from Splendido Bar and Grill. We are making a Splendido pizza crust today with some of President's Choice pure olive oil with pepper essence. Brush it over the pizza. It's a white pizza, we call it. We are not using any tomato sauce for it. We're adding some mushroom. Just sprinkle it over the top. Some porcini mushroom which was previously soaked to get the moist back. Adding some Parmesan cheese. Then we're adding some cracked black pepper, some sun-dried tomatoes, which is also soaked previously, and some pepper. Topping it with some Romano cheese and some more of the pepper essence. And it's ready to go. You can use your oven for 450 degrees, about 15 to 20 minutes. It was baked in the oven for about 15 minutes. We are brushing it with some more olive oil on the side. Get the shine of the dough. And we are adding basil leaves. And it's ready to cut. And here it is. Buon appetito, splendido.
If you love oysters and appreciate colorful characters, then you absolutely must visit Rodney's Oyster House when you come to Toronto. In the best sense of the word, Rodney Clark is a professional fishmonger. He spent 20 years working alongside his father at a shellfish operation in his home province of Prince Edward Island, so he knows good food and he really understands the meaning of the word fresh. Watch him make his special seafood splendido, and I think you'll understand why in Toronto, Rodney's considered a certifiable character.
Welcome, I'm Rodney from Rodney's Oyster House, and I have my Splendido pizza crust right here in front of me, and we're going to start to prepare our nice little recipe using PC tomato sauce, which is right around the aisle. Oh, some nice red onion here. We just chop it up in halves there. Maybe a little bit of green pepper for color, eh? Wouldn't that look good? Start to use a little bit of fresh basil and then some oregano. Nice fresh oregano. Now I'm going to put a little bit of the smoked oyster on the dressing. Trick with this smoked oyster is to wash it in a little red wine beforehand. It makes it very nice. Now I'm working over the shrimp. This is a sort of like a cocktail salad shrimp. We've taken it and sauteed it, warmed it up a little bit with a little garlic. Now I'm going to get into the goat's cheese. I picked this over at the cheese counter. It's beautiful. Little sharp goat's cheese. I'm using the plain Splendido pastry, and I'm going to put my goat's cheese on that just to give it a little bit of oomph. Ah, black olive's my fave. We're going to do a little bit of black olive on that. A little bit of red pepper. It's quite nice to use. Gives you a real nice flavor. A little bit of parsley on the top. I dice it up, and then what I do is I dry it out in a towel. Take a little bit of the nice PC oil. Beautiful stuff. Put it out around the crust there a little bit. Now, a nice thing to maybe top it off with would be some nice marinated artichoke hearts. There it is, ready to go in the oven. And here it is, 10 minutes later. The Splendido shrimp and oyster pizza a la Rodney's. Geez, it looks good. It looks great. Let's eat it.
When I first moved to Toronto, my favorite restaurant was the main dining room of the 3 small rooms. Why? Because of the fantastic wild mushroom soup recipe that was developed by chef Dante Rota. Unfortunately, the 3 small rooms no longer exist, but today you'll find Dante at one of my favorite restaurants, Orso's, a restaurant within walking distance of Toronto's new Dome Stadium. Orso's is famous for its pizzas, so I'm fascinated to see what Dante does with the Splendido.
Hey, buongiorno, this is Dante from Orso's restaurant. Today we're going to cook for you a Splendido pizza, and I'm going to show you the ingredient I'm going to use. And the first thing I use is this pure olive oil with garlic base sauce. So we put this garlic olive oil over the crust to soften it a bit, and then we're going to do the tomato sauce, which you spread all over the crust nicely. I gave this sun-dried tomato dressing to the tomato sauce to give it extra flavor. We put some bit of cheese, and then I have some tuna fish here, which goes on top, and you spread it and you break it into small flakes. We also put this black olives. We have some onions cooked in white wine to give it extra flavor. We put on the cheese, which is mozzarella and pecorino. And to give it a little bit of color, I have some red peppers here. Then we finish it off by spreading some of this lovely garlic olive oil to give it a nice color. And the pizza is now ready to go in the oven, which the oven should be at 450 degrees for about 7 minutes. Here it is, Dante Splendido Sarda Pizza. Now we sprinkle a bit of chopped parsley over it. Enjoy it with a glass of white wine, and buon appetito.
Here's something to work on for your next visit to Toronto. Get yourself invited to a party catered by Babette's Feast. Co-owner Wendy Baskerville is a prominent society caterer who's known for being innovative and offbeat. Recently, Wendy catered a supper at our home, and I asked her to develop a special recipe using the Splendido. The cheese dip she created was an absolute sensation, and is perfect for holiday entertaining.
Hi, my name's Wendy Baskerville. I'm one of the owners of Babette's Feast Catering. Today I'd like to prepare a recipe for you that's one of Dave Nichol's favorite appetizers. It involves Splendido bread and several kinds of cheese. It's called a Greek melt. First you take a loaf of Splendido. This is the cheese Splendido. You brush oil over it. In this case I'm using President's Choice garlic oil. Then you throw it in the oven. While it's toasting in the oven, you take a pan. Today we're using an assortment of cheeses from Gorgonzola, cheddar, Havarti, spiced Gouda, Havarti with jalapeno, mozzarella, and feta cheese. As well, we're using chopped garlic and squeezed fresh lemon juice and lemon zest. Okay, I've mixed the cheeses together in a bowl. Now we take them and spread them over the bottom of the pan in a nice even layer. Now we need a spoonful of President's Choice chopped garlic. Sprinkle that evenly over the layer of cheese. We take some fresh squeezed lemon juice and lemon zest, lightly sprinkled over the top, and then we move it to the stove. Turn the flame up fairly high and keep an eye on it, but you don't stir it. And when the cheeses begin to look like they're blending with each other, that's when you take it off the stove. Bring the pan to the table and let your guests just dip the Splendido bread straight into the cheese. The flavor of the cheeses explodes in your mouth and your guests are amazed.
The restaurant Prego della Piazza is steps away from two of Toronto's top attractions, the Royal Ontario Museum and the Yorkville Shopping District. However, Prego's big attraction is its fabulous selection of Italian wines and the uncomplicated cooking of its chef, Massimo. Massimo was born in Cremona, Italy, and made the decision to become a chef when he was only 12 years old. I think the secret of Massimo's success is his enthusiasm. Watch this, and I think you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Hi, my name is Massimo. I'm from Prego della Piazza, and I have this fantastic eggplant pizza to show you. I'll take a Splendido pizza crust, and I'll spread some sun-dried tomato paste on it, which I made with the President's Choice sun-dried tomato that we have pureed. Then I will put some feta cheese, which I've grated, and then we put the eggplant, which I have previously grilled. Then we put some black pitted olives, a bit everywhere, right on the cheese, because on the eggplant it will fall out, you know. Sprinkle with a little bit of the oregano, and then we will sprinkle it with this pure olive oil, which has been infused with hot pepper. We're going to sprinkle it over, and we are ready to bake it in the oven for about 10-15 minutes at 400 degrees. So there you have it, a wonderful Splendido eggplant pizza. Buon appetito.
One of my favorite ways to prepare the cheese Splendido is on the barbecue. All I do is lightly brush the crust with hot pepper-infused olive oil and place it on the grill for 2 or 3 minutes. I make sure that I turn it frequently to prevent burning, and when the cheese on the Splendido is bubbling, I take it off the grill, cut it into wedges, and serve it with a goat's cheese butter that I make with 2/3 of a cup of the President's Choice goat's cheese and a 1/3 cup unsalted butter. Believe me, this recipe is so easy and so good. Few neighborhoods are blessed with a restaurant like Scaramouche, which is unconventionally situated in an elegant apartment building on a hill overlooking downtown Toronto. It's in this slightly out-of-the-way place that you'll find Chef Keith Froggatt, who trained at Claridge's in London. We love the food at Scaramouche, and since it's within walking distance of our home, it's a particularly popular destination for Terry and I.
Hello, my name's Keith Froggatt. I'm standing in the kitchen at the Scaramouche Pasta Bar and Grill. And I'm going to create a pizza topping for this Splendido crust using a Vidalia onion. So when you cut your onion, don't cut it this way, cut it this way, vertically with the lines. This way you have shorter pieces which are easier to eat. It goes into a heavy bottom pan with some extra virgin olive oil. Goes onto a low flame, and it'll take around 35 to 40 minutes to cook. At which stage it will look like this. And when it's looking like that in the pan, you splash in a little balsamic vinegar just to pick up the flavors. Take your Splendido crust, spread it with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. Take your onions and spread those around evenly, not too thickly because you don't want the dough to become soggy. Black olives, which have been chopped and pitted. Finally, some gorgonzola cheese. Sprinkle it with some fresh thyme, and that will then go into a preheated oven, a hot oven around 500 degrees, and it'll take about 5 minutes. This is what it looks like before it goes in the oven. It may not look very visual, but it'll taste fantastic when it comes out. So here we have it. After 10 minutes or so in the hot oven, it's nice and golden brown, the cheese is melted. Slip it onto the board. Drizzle with a little bit of olive oil. It's just come from the oven, nice and crisp. And there we have caramelized onion and gorgonzola Splendido.
Every week across North America, 1.5 million people tune in for a half hour of Pasquale's Kitchen with TV's famous singing chef, Pasquale Carpino. Now that's one popular chef. He really is a trained operatic tenor, so don't be surprised if his recipes tend to include the occasional operatic aria. Pasquale's recipes take almost no time to prepare, but your friends will think you've spent all day in the kitchen. Let's watch Pasquale work his magic with the Splendido.
Ciao, my friend. Today I come in home in white because today we find it President's Choice Splendido pizza crust. We're going to prepare it today. Pizza alla Adriatico, alla Mediterranea. And we have some olives. So olives, a nice bite, you see. We have some mushroom here. That's brown cremini. Oh, that's nice. try to slice, not quick the pause, but because in anything it's good to take time, you know. When you eat the president choice, my friends, and make you feel us like a president ourselves, you know that. It's good. And I had about a cup of shredded or grated mozzarella now, some green pepper now. Oh, and you can slice some red pepper too. Oh, it tastes good, it look good, you know, because, you know, the eyes is bigger than the mouth is. You slice them up, put it up there. So what do we have? What do we miss? I had 1 tin of anchovies, you know, president choice. It's the best. And then a little extra virgin olive oil, president choice. And we bake them up in the chow chow. In 10-15 minutes, you have a pizza coming from the pizza country. That's nice, so easy, huh? So I wish you buon appetito, and I hope you try, because once you try, you never stop again.
Nobody should come to Toronto without seeing our new Skydome Stadium, but unfortunately, few of our visitors are lucky enough to enjoy dinner at Skydome's Founders Club. This exclusive restaurant is open to members only, but since Canada's wunderkind chef, Jamie Kennedy, is the club's newly installed executive chef, I strongly recommend that when you're in Toronto, you beg, borrow, or steal an invitation to the Founders Club.
Hi, I'm Jamie Kennedy. I'm the executive chef at the Founders Club in Toronto, and I have a recipe for you using Splendido flatbread. Mine's an hors d'oeuvre. It's called baked feta Splendido with black olive paste. Here's how you do it. Take one of these Splendido flatbreads, sprinkle generously with extra virgin olive oil. Take some herbs. I use rosemary in this recipe. And generously sprinkle them as well. Feta cheese, crumbled, preferably Greek feta. Now, it's simply a matter of taking this and baking for approximately 5 to 7 minutes. While the flatbread is baking in the oven, we can proceed to the next stage, which involves using the Cuisinart and making the olive paste. You start with the olives and you pour them in. Start it up. Add some finely chopped garlic and some fine quality olive oil. Some chicken stock, or in this case it's tomato bouillon. Black pepper and salt. Process for approximately 30 seconds and turn the machine off. Okay, I've finished preparing the olive paste, so the Splendido should be ready to come out of the oven. Oh, doesn't that look great? Our Splendido is ready. It's been baking in the oven for about 10 minutes. So now we're ready to slice and arrange around the olive paste. So now I'm going to slice the Splendido while it's still very warm and place the slices around the platter. Now we're putting our last piece on and we're ready to serve. And this is what you do. That's delicious.
One of the greatest gifts you can give your children is to show them as early in their lives as possible how easy it is to prepare fantastic food. How can you do that? Well, just show them these tips on how to prepare a variety of Splendidos from Roberto Martella, the owner of Grano's, one of Toronto's most convivial eateries. Then give them some Splendidos and turn them loose. Incidentally, if your friends don't take you to Grano's when you come to visit Toronto, then I seriously urge you to re-examine the friendship.
Hi, my name is Roberto from Grano, and today I'd like to make for you some variations on the classic Italian pizza margherita using the Splendido pizza crust. Beginning very simply, we take a cookie sheet and some President's Choice extra virgin olive oil. Making sure the cookie sheet is covered will facilitate getting the pizza off after you take it from the oven. And we take some President's Choice tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce, ladle it on, and just work it in like this. We found using this pizza that we needn't add any oil to the top of the crust because it's very, very moist. And here present as mozzarella cheese, sprinkled on very, very lightly and easily, and topped afterwards by green basil. Okay, we're going to take some grilled zucchini. We're just adding the zucchini on quite liberally. Some grilled eggplant, just placed intermittently to give it a sense of design and style. And in the center, we've chosen to put some grilled mushrooms and roasted red peppers. All these things could have been prepared very easily the night before on a barbecue, in your home kitchen, on a grill, or even just sauteed rather than grilled. And here we go. Now it's ready, and I'd recommend in the oven about 350 degrees for about 10 minutes. While it's baking off, and we have friends and family close at hand, we have decided to make a few other ones here. As you can see, once again, I've continued with the basic theme, tomato sauce. I've used some grilled chicken, could have been from today, could have been from last night, grilled mushrooms, and gorgonzola. If you like, we could drizzle it with a bit of hot oil to taste. Try it, it's excellent. And our classic pizza margherita, the red tomato sauce, the white bocconcini cheese, mozzarella cheese, and the green basil. Sprinkle a bit of Parmigiano to give it a little salt flavor. And once again, using your imagination, if you like, drizzle it with a bit of oil. In this case, I've chosen the President's Choice garlic oil. Here we are out of the oven. A few short moments, thanks to Splendido and the President's Choice products, we've been able to create 3 wonderful pizzas. The basic pizza margherita and variations on the theme with grilled or sauteed mushrooms, chicken, vegetables. One tip though, think about preparing your stuff in advance, either grilling them or sauteing them the night before or saving some of those leftovers. The only limitation is your imagination. Salute, buon appetito.
How much does it cost in your city to order a phone-in pizza? Probably a minimum of $10, and then you wait for an hour, and what do you end up with? A cold pizza with the same old boring toppings. Here are some ideas from Wendy Baskerville on how to prepare some exotic Splendidos in 15 minutes or less at a fraction of the cost of ordinary phone-in pizza. And here's another tip. You can use Splendido right out of your freezer without defrosting. All you have to do is add another 2 or 3 minutes in the oven.
Hi, I'm Wendy Baskerville from Babette's Feast Catering. Today I'd like to show you something we found for the use of Splendido bread from President's Choice. It's a classical bruschetta. We take a loaf of cheese Splendido, we brush it really well with President's Choice olive oil with basil. It's important to brush it as much as possible so the bread doesn't get soggy. We take a mixture of tomato, basil, garlic, Parmesan cheese, sprinkle it lightly over the surface of the bread. It doesn't have to be heavily covered. Throw it in the oven for 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, while the tomato bruschetta is in the oven, let me show you some other things we've found to do with Splendido bread. This is a loaf of plain Splendido that we brushed with Memories of Gilroy sauce. Then we sprinkled fresh herbs over it. Any mixture of fresh herbs will do. Lots of Parmesan cheese, and you have Gilroy focaccia. For this one, we've taken a mixture of mushrooms, shiitake, oyster, field mushrooms, and crimini mushrooms, and sauteed them slowly in some President's Choice olive oil with lemon. Then we've sprinkled them over a brushed Splendido bread. In this case, I used a little more Gilroy sauce, sprinkled it with some fresh chopped thyme and Parmesan cheese, and you have a wild mushroom bruschetta. For those of you who like anchovies, this one we brushed with President's Choice garlic olive oil, and we sliced some President's Choice black olives, and we slow sauteed some Vidalia onions, sprinkled them over a Splendido bread, gently sprinkled some chopped anchovy, as much or as little as you like, and you have our version of pissaladière. So here it is, classical bruschetta. Our tomato bruschetta has been in the oven for about 4 minutes at 450 degrees. We bring it out, slide it onto a plate, and sprinkle a little chopped parsley over it to give it a little color. Sliced in wedges and served with a big glass of white wine.
My wife Terry has cooked with a number of France's 3-starred chefs, so she knows the real thing when she sees it. In her opinion, a trip to Toronto isn't complete unless you've eaten with Mark McEwen. You'll find him at North 44, a new chic eatery in the Young Eglinton area, and he's also associated with Pronto on Mount Pleasant. Here's one of Mark's recipes that quickly turns a Splendido into a sophisticated alternative to ordinary bread.
Hi, I'm Mark McEwen of North 44 in Toronto. We're here today preparing a Splendido crust. The idea behind it, basically, the premise is to replace bread at the dinner table. We've taken some very simple ingredients. It's a 5-minute preparation, and it's designed to replace the sliced bread at the dinner table. So why don't we get underway? We're using President's Choice olive oil. We're doing a light brushing of it, not too much. What you don't want is puddles to develop on the bread. Small pinch of salt, evenly around on the dough. Very, very little. A little bit of cracked black pepper. We're going to distribute sautéed onions around the crust. Just a nice, even, loose coating. What you don't want is too much preparation on top of the dough. It should be very, very light. And the raisins, which we've soaked in balsamic vinegar, we're just going to distribute those again. All around, not too many. A little bit of fresh serrano pepper, which is cut in a fine julienne. Just a light sprinkling. And then roasted garlic, which we've roasted the cloves and sliced them very thinly. We're going to put a nice layer of those over top. And a little bit of fresh rosemary. If you don't have rosemary, you could use fresh thyme or oregano. And then at that stage, we're going to take pecorino romano, and we're just going to do a light grating over top. Again, keeping in mind, it's just a dinner accompaniment, so it shouldn't be too filling. And then at this stage, you can bake it in the oven for 4 or 5 minutes. You could do it on the barbecue by placing it on the top rack and shutting the oven door and leave it in for 2 to 3 minutes, and it would bake on the bottom and the top sufficiently. Or you could do it on top of your barbecue without closing the lid if you wanted to. Okay, and after 5 minutes in the oven, there you have it, the Splendido crust. Very simple ingredients. Designed basically as a bread substitute at the table. It's not too filling. It's easy to produce. I hope you enjoy the recipe.
Since we discovered the Splendido, we've tried it in hundreds of recipes. My personal favorite was created by Alison Jarvest, who works in our President's Choice test kitchens. The key to this recipe is our new Splendido prosciutto salami. If you look closely, you can see chunks of real prosciutto in the middle. Forget about pepperoni. Our exclusive prosciutto salami is the best prepared meat product I've ever tasted, and its unique sweet and sour flavor is perfect for pizza. Alison prepares this pizza with the new 6-inch small Splendido. First, she puts some President's Choice chopped garlic on the Splendido, adds a little garlic-infused olive oil, and brushes it evenly over the surface. Then she adds the sliced prosciutto salami and some red onion. Next, she sprinkles on some grated Parmesan cheese and then covers it with a mixture of grated fontina and mozzarella cheeses. In my opinion, the fontina is essential. Finally, she garnishes it with chopped basil and the President's Choice salsa. When you cut this small Splendido into wedges, it makes the perfect party finger food. Well, that's it. I want to thank the chefs who have shown us how easy it is to use the Splendido to create great tasting meals in a matter of minutes. And when you come to Toronto, I strongly recommend that you make a special effort to eat with these chefs. Believe me, you won't be disappointed.